Hi everyone, and welcome back to Raising Vibrations. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some information on how I perceive karmic formation, how to heal yourself through understanding what the DNA is about, and showing you how I link that to the nodes of the moon and Pluto, and how through evolutionary astrology the consciousness or the language is attuned to actually creating new DNA structures within yourself. Okay. Now, what I'm sharing with you today is a very big subject, and this video is going to compile it in a way that's really sort of short, but got some deep thought processes that can be activated as you connect with me in terms of how I'm perceiving this this story, this understanding, this karmic formation idea. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is illustrate that from the point of view of understanding the nodes in the astrological chart, okay, they, from evolutionary astrology's perspective as well, Jeffrey Wolf Green, is that when you look at the south node of the moon, okay, it's really, really important that you also look at what is called the nodal ruler, okay? So as an example, so there's three of these things, okay? There's the node itself, right? So let's say south node in Sagittarius, all right? The south node in Sagittarius, the next thing you have to do is then locate the ruler of that south node, which in this case is Jupiter, okay? So let's say south node is in the 11th house of the astrology chart, and it's in Sagittarius. And so therefore you look at the sign that's ruling that south node, that's Jupiter. And let's say Jupiter's in the 3rd house, Aries, okay, as an example. So what will naturally occur here is that you would be able to now access very specifically the core themes and vibrations and frequencies and energies and identities that this soul or person would have experienced in its early life environment, okay? This is that kind of like incubator in which we get born into, all right? So we reflect the nature of something that has already occurred. So we are accessing this part, if you have a look over here, of your DNA, okay? We're looking at the parts of the DNA that is already formed, okay? So if you look at this imagery over here, this is the south node, okay? Because everything's already occurred. There's already been an assimilation of everything within your environment. So to make this a little bit more clearer, if you have a look at, for instance, your own life, and you identify the types of circumstances, situations, conditioning, political environment that you were brought up in, i.e. what your parents stood for, what type of politics were in your home, what type of spiritual ideas were in your home, and so on and so forth. When you get an understanding of that, then you're accessing the DNA structure within yourself, because DNA is a representation of everything that has already occurred to you that is assimilated into your physical body, right? Because you're a multi-dimensional being. So therefore the physical body is a representation of your multidimensional self, but there are more to it. So the emotional layer, the astral body, okay? So what I'm saying here is that as you grow up in this environment, you naturally then assimilate all these types of circumstances and situations into your cellular memory, into your life, okay? And so that becomes the formation of your DNA. And we call this ancestral karma, you know, if we go back a lot further. And we can identify that with the moon and of course with Capricorn and the south nodes, right? And Pluto as well. So what I'm really trying to get you to recognize and connect with me here is that we're identifying that karma is naturally, or karma and DNA and south nodes are all interconnected, okay? And it's interconnected through the assimilation of the environment in which you were brought up in. Because probably only around, you know, the age of 30, when your first Saturn return comes about and you really sort of have that dissolving of identity structure that then leads to a new one, do you actually move into a new sphere of your existence. And that's when you have to go through that deep inner reflection period and clear out all of that junk and stuff that has occurred for you. Let go of some, defense mechanisms that you would have needed as a young kid to deal with the circumstances and situations that now become something that is actually used against you when you get older in life. So we identify that karma formation is the natural progression of going through time and space, spiraling in a vortex, and then assimilating all the information, all the experiences, all the imprinting that was present within you in that environment, okay? Now, if we look at this color spectrum over here, you can see here that there's this process of up and down, okay? And again, you can see how beautifully illustrated it is. You get these repeating themes. If you look very, very closely at this picture here, where I've got my red little dot, okay? If you look at it from the point of view of the spiral, you can actually see that there is a point of reference and then a spiral coming out of it. And if you look down that spiral, you can actually imagine as if you're looking down like a telescope, for instance, or even if you're actually looking through a telescope that way, you can see there's a distance factor, like looking down a road. And the further you look down a straight road, it becomes like really narrow. And yet as you get closer to you, it becomes wider. It's the same point of view that, if you had something happen to you yesterday in contrast to maybe 3 weeks ago, that short-term memory part of yourself is not as visible as something that just happened to you yesterday. So it's a lot wider in your field of spectrum. So when we're looking at the South Node and we're accessing that ancestral karma and karma from previous lives, we're looking at this part over here, okay? We're looking at this part over here. Pluto would be representative of this part here because it's very, very deeply unconscious. It's like Patricia Wolf talks about, it's this, Pluto is like the perfume on clothing. You can sense it's there. You can sort of like, taste it in some way, but to try and grab it it's incredibly elusive. You can't grab this stuff. So it's far out there, but it's the deepest part of your self, okay? And we can access that through, of course, like, past life regression and yada, yada. So when you're seeing the perception of Pluto being there, the South nodes can be this aspect here. Now, the node itself, in other words, the North node and the moon, are showing us how that formation of that karma is happening in the moment consistently, okay? So if I take your awareness and I shift it back to here, and I show you that this is the South node, and this becomes your habits, this becomes your identity structures, this becomes your memories, etc., etc. Well, this point that's just about to merge together like that can be perceived as the moon in the birth chart. It is the moment-to-moment reality in which you are experiencing. So right now you're experiencing a moment. Right now you're experiencing a moment. Now each of us has a moon sign, and that moon sign dictates to us the nature of how we transition from the past experience into the future experience. Now, because both of these ideas, i.e. South node, North node, past, future, are abstract, and there is only the moment, what the moon actually represents is the way that we nurture and create security within ourselves to transition from something that it is that has already happened to us to something that it is that we're going to go to. It's that fundamental middle point. Now, in each moment, if you get challenged with a situation that is like, okay, I need to go in that direction, but oh my gosh, that's really, really scary. What is the first thing you need to do? You need to, in some way, shape, or form, nurture those emotions of anxiety, feelings of separateness, and so on and so forth. This is why we are creatures of habit in some way, because we like security. We've been conditioned to believe that this is absolutely important. And so therefore, we hold on to these things of the past, and we keep on just going around in circuits, just holding on to nonsense. Anyway, so again, the node, the moon itself is that literal point that is causing us to feel secure, and it's situated right there, if you can use imagination, as it intertwines, okay? The North node in the astrological chart reflects to you how you are actually making choices that is creating new DNA structure that is literally not moving you away from your South node, because that's impossible, but healing the South Node and creating new karmic dynamics. Okay? Really, really important. The North Node is the way that you make choices in your life that then creates new realities, new circumstances, new situations that have never ever been done before, because the South Node is where you've kept in your habit. It's like, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to recreate these Groundhog Day moments because I feel secure in it. I'm going to access this part of my DNA cellular structure that reminds me of the same thing over and over. Whereas the North Node is going, hey, let's make new choices in new circumstances that leads to new environments, to new patterns, to new, and so on and so forth, that then becomes the new formation of cellular memory, i.e. DNA structure. Okay, does this make sense? So this spectrum of light over here, which is what you are seeing, i.e. the spectrum of light, is now referencing that when you make these new choices, you are creating energetic waves and cycles within yourself that leads you and heals your karma, that heals your DNA structure. And this is the potency of this understanding. This is the potency of not only interacting with your astrology in a way where you can actually repair and heal aspects of your DNA structure by, number one, recognizing where some of that damage has occurred, and then literally recreating new circumstances in your life that then heals that DNA structure. Now, because there is two sides to this story, it's not like you just have to focus on healing damaged parts of yourselves. No, it's about actually making choices in your life that empower you to not only create new dynamics that have never been explored before, i.e. assimilating positive DNA structure, but also in some way, shape, or form, protecting yourself from falling into situations where the damaged DNA is causing you to feel literally as if life has thrown you a curveball and slapped you in the face. And this is how we access the ascension process. And that's why I've got this picture on the left-hand side here. This is your awakening. This is the purpose. This is what all this is about here, right? You transcend the man, the five senses. You transcend those and you access the multidimensional sphere of existence that it is that you are. But the only way to understand that is to understand what's actually going on, and that you are this. This is what you are. This entire strand of consistent in and out flowing of night and day, on and off, sleep and awake, speak, response, yada, 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 is the formation of your life. And so even as you started this video, right, your life has already been altered in dimensions and changes because of the fact that what you've assimilated through this conversation. It's already a part of your cellular memory. It's already a part of your structure. Now, here's where I'd like to drop this truth. Imagine if this video that you just watched right now has already affected you in a way that is now part of your cellular memory. Imagine the type of cellular memory that you carry with you based on unconscious choices that have been made from the past. You can see how we as a collective within ourselves, as we project this stuff into the field of existence that we are, is now the result, the collective result of everything that you see here. So what I'm trying to really get out of the situation is that if you really, truly, truly want to use this stuff and access your multidimensional self, it's got to get real. And getting real is understanding what's actually going on. And then from that point in time, start to notice that everything that you're going to assimilate within yourself has got effect. So getting real is going, okay, right, so here I am, I've got my body, I understand it's a conduit for, and a conductor for healing myself, it's a conductor for experiencing this time-space continuum. So what do I do about it? How do I actively start feeding my DNA cellular memory with stuff that actually gives me reverse engineering, that actually gives me the ability to access deeper parts of my spiritual nature versus playing around in the 3D world of illuminated false light nonsense? Because no matter what, if you're jumping in that sphere and you're experiencing it that way, right, that's great, that's fantastic. But remember that there's always a polar opposite. And that the polar opposite is in this case, the assimilation of your DNA structure that you carry with you. So if you're going to consistently keep on eating food that is negatively imbalancing, like for instance, chocolates and sweets, etc., right, sugar mainly, then you must understand that you're assimilating that into your physical and cellular memory, right? And we all know how dangerous sugar is. It's the devil. in that sense. And when I say the devil, I don't mean it in the context of the biblical term. I mean it in the sense that this is damaging you. So this is what I'm trying to say. If you're ready to level up, as it were, if you're ready to start healing yourself, this is the type of stuff that you've got to be looking at within yourself, and recognize that every choice you make leads to the DNA cellular memory. I mean, as I've had this conversation with you right now, and I'm steering you on this journey, imagine this conversation's there, and I'm guiding you in this conversation, and you're listening to it. Everything that is being experienced from you is this little droplets that are consistently getting assimilated into your ancestral DNA, right? That's what we're talking about here, right? This is the spectrum in which you're perceiving it through that lens. So again, if you're going to be in your body and you're recognizing that your makarba incarnation, your body itself, is the vehicle that it's the most important, then if we prioritize that and we prioritize the self in the sense of awakening its infinite potential, then not only do you access more of this multidimensional self in positive ways, and when I say positive, I mean ways that keep you balanced and whole, but also it gives you the opportunity to assimilate within yourself positive or balanced whole, because I keep on saying positive, but I don't really mean it in that way. I've got to be careful with my words, because if I say positive to you, you might interpret it as this, that's good, whereas really good and bad is still duality. Where we're trying to create you as wholeness, i.e. unity. It's this connection, it's Pisces. So coming back to this point that I'm trying to make here, is that when we're accessing this state of being, this consciousness, this illumination within ourselves, then you can start to see how imperative it is and how important it is to start making choices within yourself that are honoring the natural cycles that are occurring within you and within this universe and what it is that you are. Because you are that. This is your consistent experience through time and space. So really, if you look at the birth chart or use it as a template to access this past stuff, we can then look at that stuff and go, okay, this is where my habits are. These are where the things that I'm tending to create damaged DNA, as it were, disconnect or, trauma and so on and so forth. And we can access that part of ourselves, heal that part, so that when we're moving forward, we're not recreating from the past, but creating from a state of balance within ourselves. Okay? All right, everyone, thanks very much for listening to this. I really hope it inspired you in some way, shape, or form. I wanted to let you know that at this point in time, I have 3 platforms. I have the beginners and intermediate and workshop astrology schools that I teach and basically share with everyone to assimilate into yourself, because my main idea at this point in time is to build armies of people that are literally going to be like, I hate to use the word superhuman in that way, but to access your infinite potential. So I've got that platform, and what I've shared with you today is how I teach that. I have another 3 programs at this stage for souls that are looking to actually go through an entire transmutation. So I have Cleaning the Lens. That's a program in itself that is specifically designed to awaken you to understanding what's going on. I have a Metamorphosis program that is working at this stage as well, where we spend 3 months of your life completely dedicated to healing and understanding stuff regarding karmic formations, samskaras, assimilating, understanding, giving you tools. And then I've got the 3rd platform, and this is my most newest little baby, and it's called Leaders of the Paradigm. And what this is about is taking step 1 and step 2 and then putting it into step 3 and saying, right, here's an energy source that can support you to go out into the world and actually create a change not only within yourself, but then be a leader and inspire everybody else to follow in your sort of direction, not to follow in terms of your light, but to see your light as an inspiration to access their own light within themselves. So if you're interested in that, please check out the Raising Vibrations website or contact me directly. Okay, you can book a consultation. We can chat about it more in terms of asking questions. This is my job, everyone. So if you want more of this type of stuff to come your way, then those programs are specifically designed to keep me in this space to facilitate the awakening, not only within myself, but also as a leader to inspire everybody else to do the same within your own journey. All right, fantastic. Have a wonderful day, and I will check you later. Bye-bye.